The first time anyone noticed the billionaire's daughter at the park, she was already sitting alone. The late afternoon sun painted the playground in warm gold, children racing across swings and slides, their laughter echoing like music. Parents chatted nearby. Ice cream trucks chimed in the distance. But on a small wooden bench beneath an old oak tree sat a little girl in a pale blue dress, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She watched everything. Her dark eyes followed every running child, every giggle, every game of tag. Yet no one spoke to her. No one even tried. 7-year-old Lily Carter had learned early that silence can be louder than noise. She was born deaf. For most children, playgrounds were filled with sound, shouts, whistles, squeals. For Lily, the world moved in quiet pictures, mouths opening and closing, feet pounding the ground, faces lighting up with laughter she could never hear. She didn't hate it, but she did hate being invisible. What the families around the park didn't know was that Lily's father was Daniel Carter, one of the most powerful CEOs in America. His tech company had transformed communication across the world. His net worth made headlines. His business strategies were studied in universities. But at home, none of that mattered. Because no amount of money had ever been able to give his daughter the one thing he wanted most for her: belonging. Daniel often watched Lily from a distance when his security team brought her to the park. He insisted they stay back. No hovering, he told them. She deserves to feel normal. But normal was hard when children tried talking to her, grew confused when she didn't respond, and slowly drifted away. It had happened so many times Lily had stopped trying. So she sat quietly, watching, waiting. That afternoon seemed no different. Until 3 boys walked into the park. They looked almost identical, same messy brown hair, same bright sneakers, same curious eyes. Triplets. They were loud, energetic, and completely impossible to miss. Their names were Mason, Caleb, and Jonah Rodriguez, and within minutes they had turned the playground into their personal obstacle course. They raced up ladders, swung from monkey bars, and argued over who was the fastest. Then Mason suddenly stopped. He pointed toward the oak tree. "There's a girl over there," he said. Caleb squinted. "Why isn't she playing?" Jonah shrugged. "Maybe she doesn't want to." But Mason kept looking. Lily was watching them, not smiling, not waving, just observing. Something about her expression made him walk over. His brothers followed. Lily noticed them approaching and instinctively lowered her eyes. This was usually the moment when kids asked questions she couldn't answer. "What's your name? Why aren't you talking? Can you hear me?" Then they'd get awkward. Then they'd leave. She braced herself. But the boys didn't speak. Instead, Mason looked at his brothers. Then he raised his hands and signed. "Hi." Lily's head snapped up. Her eyes widened. He signed slowly, carefully. "Can we be your friends?" For a moment Lily just stared. It felt like time had frozen. No one outside her family had ever signed to her before. Not once. Her heart started pounding. With trembling hands, she signed back. "Yes." The triplets broke into huge grins. Jonah plopped onto the bench beside her. Caleb signed, slightly clumsy but understandable. "Do you want to play?" Lily nodded so fast her ponytail bounced. Within minutes they were running across the playground together. Lily showed them the fastest way down the spiral slide. The boys taught her a ridiculous spinning game that made everyone dizzy. They signed constantly, sometimes perfectly, sometimes hilariously wrong. But they tried. And to Lily, that effort felt like sunlight after years of shade. Across the park, Daniel Carter noticed something unusual. His daughter was laughing. He couldn't hear it, but he could see it. Her shoulders shook. Her smile stretched wide. Her hands flew through the air in excited signs. He leaned forward. "Who are those kids?" he asked quietly. One of the security guards checked. "Triplets," he said. "Rodriguez family." Daniel watched them carefully. They weren't treating Lily like she was fragile. They weren't ignoring her. They were communicating with her. Fluently. His throat tightened. "Do they know sign language?" he asked. "Looks like it." Daniel sat back slowly. For the first time in years, he saw Lily playing without hesitation. No confusion. No loneliness. Just joy. 2 hours passed before the triplets' mother walked over to gather her boys. Elena Rodriguez, she introduced herself warmly when she noticed Daniel approaching. "Daniel Carter." Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, the Daniel Carter." He smiled sheepishly. Just Lily's dad today. The triplets were signing goodbye to Lily, promising to come back tomorrow. Daniel turned to Elena. I have to ask, he said. How do your boys know sign language? Elena's smile softened. When they were 5, their preschool had a deaf student, she explained. He always sat alone because none of the kids could communicate with him. Daniel felt a familiar ache in his chest. What did your boys do? He asked. They came home one day and asked me to teach them sign language, she said. They said no one should have to sit alone. Daniel blinked. That was 2 years ago, she continued. They kept learning. Said they might meet another kid someday who needed a friend. Daniel looked toward Lily. She was hugging all 3 boys at once. His vision blurred. All the money in the world. All the power. And yet the greatest gift his daughter had ever received came from 3 kids who simply believed kindness was normal. The next week changed everything. Lily and the triplets became inseparable. They built forts, raced scooters, invented complicated handshake sign combinations that confused everyone else. For the first time in her life, Lily wasn't the quiet girl on the bench. She was just Lily. But something else began to happen. Other children noticed. They saw the boys signing. They saw Lily respond. Curiosity spread. Soon kids were asking, what does that mean? And, can you teach me that sign? The triplets happily did. Within a month, half the playground knew basic signs like, hello, friend, and, play. Daniel watched it all unfold in quiet amazement. Then one evening he had an idea. 3 months later, Carter Communications announced a new national initiative. Free sign language classes for schools across the United States. Accessible learning apps. Playground inclusion programs. Millions of dollars invested. At the launch event, reporters asked Daniel what inspired the project. He didn't talk about technology. He didn't talk about business. He simply pointed toward 4 kids playing together nearby. My daughter spent years sitting alone, he said softly. Then he nodded toward the triplets. Until 3 boys walked up and asked her one question. On stage, Lily signed the words as he spoke. Can we be your friends? The audience grew quiet. Because sometimes the most powerful change in the world doesn't start in a boardroom. Sometimes it starts on a park bench. With 3 kids who decided no one should ever feel invisible. And one little girl who finally knew she wasn't alone anymore.